Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second class of cultural story times and legends here at Kualoa Regional Park. So today, as promised, we're going to go a little bit more into the history of Kualoa and just about what this whole place is about. So as you can see in the background, one of the most iconic things about this park here is the island, Mokuli'i. And there are many legends and stories about this place. The most common one that everyone likes to share is about um, a certain lizard who lived in the ahupua'a of actually Hakipu'u, which is right next to Kualoa, and he protected both the Moli'i fish pond, which is now on the Kualoa ranch's property, which it's still in operation, and it also protected the other two or three ponds here actually that no longer are in any sort of production. But so the legend has it that it was Pele's sister Hi'iaka. She came, and when she landed here on the beaches of Kualoa and Hakipu, she was looking for food. So she asked the villagers where she could find some food. And the villagers told her that there was a fish pond that's abundant with fish. There's a lot of resources, but they told her not to make a sound, as even a crack of a branch or rustled bush or leaves would awaken the mo'o that guarded this area. And so mo'os and dragons from like European or Asian cultures, legends is basically they're basically the same thing. So it's some kind of huge reptile of some sort that was seen in high regard as a guardian or protector of a certain area. So anyway, this particular mo'o lived here and guarded Moli'i fish pond. So on Hi'iaka's journey over to the fish pond, she was met by this lizard and they battled. So they got into this big, huge battle that ended actually in her Hi'iaka winning. And in the course of the fight, she chops the mo'o's tail off, and then what we have here at the end at the end of the battle is the mo'o's tail, which is Mokuli'i Island. So a little bit more about Mokuli'i. Like in many other places here in the Hawaiian Islands, there is either mo'o, moko, moku, or something like that. They all relate and all come from the same base word. And in this case, moko is the lizard and li'i, so it's little lizard. That's a literal translation of Mokuli'i Island, little lizard. So today, there is unfortunately a lot of people that who they don't really understand the significance of something like this. I mean, and it's not really readily available or explained to people. So tourists and locals alike will go to this island, and we here at the park do not recommend landing on the island. There are actually it's a bird sanctuary. There are many seabirds that reside here on Mokuli'i, and they nest all over the island. And to the untrained eye, what is a nest might not look anything. You won't be able to see it, and then the next thing you know, you're trampling over a bird's nest. So here at the park, we do not recommend anyone land on the island, just to avoid any sort of issues with the bird life and also the regular plant life here on Mokuli'i, as it's a very unstable environment. There's no natural or no water source there. It's just It's all whatever rain is gathered over there. But that being said, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy or admire mokuli'i. But we can do it in a safe and responsible way. So moving on, a little bit more about Kualoa. So back a long time ago, this ahupua'a area was actually known as Paliku, and Paliku means like cliff or something, high peaked cliff area, and that'll be because of as you can see in the background, this ridge area. So that's what it was named after, was just these high Kualoa mountain range in this area. And later on, it was changed to be known as Kualoa. And the literal translation of Kualoa is literally long back, but that means it's also referring to like a spine or a ridge, which is the same as the original name, Paliku. So it all goes back to this mountain range I have here in my background. So as you can see, it's a very important aspect of this area, and that would go back to just the importance of mountains and the importance of water. So just the way things work, the clouds will go and dump the rain on top of the mountain, and the water would come in there. And water in Hawaiian culture is one of the most important, if not the most important thing there is. Actually, to the Hawaiian word for wealthy is actually vai vai, which is water twice. So that'll tell you how important water is just in Hawaiian culture in general. So a little bit more about this ridge. The highest peak is known as Kaneho'olani, and that particular peak is, you can see it in the back there. It's the highest point in this area above my head. It actually directly translates to, I believe, Kane's heavenly friend. So it's just because of how high it is. That's where it gets its name from, heavenly companion, friend. Yeah, according to legends and other things like that, there's often burial caves and stuff up in this area, and the I believe, yeah, Kaneho'olani was used as a division area for the ahupua'a system. So here in our park, we have an ahu built an altar that marks the separation between Kualoa and Hakipu. So when you guys have a chance to come down here, you can come and see our ahu that was built to represent the land division. So this land division actually goes all the way up from where we are on the beach, all the way up to Kaneho'olani, and that will distinguish where is Kualoa and where is Hakipu. And I believe even on the ranch's property, they have it marked. So next time when you're driving on Cam Highway or Kamehameha Highway on your way to the park, if you're driving from Kaneohe side, if you look on this when you're driving, you'll see a wall, and there'll actually be a wooden pig's head, and that is also used to distinguish the two ahupua'as. So the Kualoa area actually was a pu'uhonua, so that means a place of refuge. So back in ancient times, if say you committed a crime or something was wrong and people were either after you, you could come to Kualoa and you would be safe. and you're protected from any sort of backlash that you might have received. So this place, Kualoa, and Hakipu is just a very, very sacred area and culturally significant to Hawaiians in general. And I believe it was considered so significant that I can't recall who the exact chief was, but he at the time was in charge of this land, and he was going to give it away to his uncle, who was a chief on another island. But he said if you were to do that, or his kahuna advised him against it. He said if you were to give away Kualoa, you give away all Oahu. So in that sense, it was just this one area was so significant that you couldn't give it away, or you'd give away everything. It was basically what was insinuated. Another interesting thing about this area is it said that this a great navigator by the name of Kahai is from the Hakipu area, and according to legend, and he is the one that actually brought back the first ulu plant back to Hawaii from, I believe, it probably was Samoa. So what's interesting about Hawaiian legends in general is you'll find that there's different stories of how certain plants or just important things came to be, and Kahai for this area was said to have brought the first ulu, and the ulu is often overlooked just because of the significance of kalo, and there's a real big revival in just kalo farming and lo'is in general. But the ulu actually is a often ignored staple food, and in my opinion, it's actually easier to grow, and maybe that's why it hasn't received the recognition that it deserves, because it's a tree, so it just grows on its own. There's not really much maintenance needed other than water. But the ulu, the fruit is one of the most versatile plant that there is. It, in my opinion, is actually more versatile than kalo. But not to take anything away from kalo, but just to emphasize how important the ulu was to Hawaiians as well. Kalo also very important and delicious. Good for you as well. So as I was saying, yeah, in this area, it said that Kahai brought the first ulu back here, and it grew. And yeah, so a different story that I've been told about how ulu came here was actually from the god of war and many other things, Ku, during a time of famine, sacrificed himself for his family, and when they buried him, out from where he was buried came the first ulu tree. So you'll hear different stories about how certain things come to be, and that'll all depend on where you are. And another thing that's very common is whatever story Kamehameha, or if it came from the Big Island, you'll hear about it. Just because, like in every other history, the victor always writes what goes. So as you know, Kamehameha conquered the islands, united them, And so a lot of the stories that we here grew up hearing would come from either the Big Island or um, or from the Kamehameha line. So it's interesting to hear some other differences, and but actually the Kaha'i story seemed to stick with everyone, as Kamehameha himself is said to have lowered his sails while passing Kualoa. So that'll tell you just about how significant Kaha'i was to this area and what his um, how his bringing of the ulu just changed everything. Actually, Kaha'i bought it from Tahiti, not someone. So another interesting thing about Kualoa, in addition to it being a puhonua, it was also the site of the makahiki. So in Hawaiian culture, the makahiki season was extremely important, and it was to honor the god Lono. And it was kind of like a tax collecting thing where you think about it. But they would bring food, offerings, all that stuff. But during this time, there's a lot of games. So that's why a lot of games showing of any sort of skill, and that's just one of the favorite things that Hawaiians love to do, was to show skill and compete with each other. So they would have so much games, from the ones that we hopefully all got to play. And if you do come here, we do love to continue the tradition of playing some of this Pa'ani Makahiki, which would be the Ulumaika, Mo Pahe'e, Ihe Pahe'e, and many more. But that was not all they used to play there. There was foot races where things were arm wrestling, regular wrestling, um, games of strategy. Tug of war was actually a pretty fun one. And another thing that they used to do during the Makahiki was those who weren't participating would love to bet and place bets on who would win a certain game and just stuff like that. So that being said, Kualoa is just extremely important. So like I said, the this area was a pu'uhonua, so anyone could come here seeking refuge, as literally that it means place of refuge. So if they did some kind of, they broke the law, kapu at the time, they could come here seeking asylum basically. And if the way it worked, if a person was able to reach the pu'uhonua, they would be freed of the crime and could go about their way without any punishment. So Kualoa was considered so sacred that it was actually larger than most pu'uhonuas in it. The area of um, pu'uhonua wasn't just a small place in Kualoa. It was actually the whole ahupua'a. Um, that was considered to be the pu'uhonua, a place of refuge. So some more interesting or important facts about this Kualoa area. Another very interesting thing is this area is actually home to 3 fish ponds, and the biggest one that being Moli'i Fish Pond, which is currently in operation under the Kualoa Ranch. So they're still in some it's still an active fish pond. Not exactly used the way it used to be. I believe they farm oysters. There's still a lot of fish in Moli'i Fish Pond, and today it is, in addition to growing oysters and stuff and other fish like that, it's also used by the ranch as a kind of like a tourist attraction, and they take people across to a secret beach, which is actually just a walk down the beach from here. But like I said, it's still a functioning fish pond, which is very important. There's many fish ponds around Oahu or on the Hawaiian Islands that are no longer functioning. So the ranch has taken stewardship over this fish pond for many years, and it's still functioning. Still plenty of fish inside of this pond. Okay, another pond we got here that's actually on the city and county's property is called a pool pond. A pool means, a literal translation is fish basket. So not much is known about a pool pond. It's said to be a spring, which it it must be, as there's no water from the mountain or the sea entering, and it still has a bunch of water in it. Unfortunately, it kind of fell into disarray many years ago, and I've heard different accounts as to how that happened. So either there's many different stories. The most likely one might be from when this place was Kualoa was actually during World War II was taken over by the military, and they used the front area as kind of like a airport landing strip. And supposedly, I'm not sure how factual this is, but when they cleaned up shop, supposedly they dumped a bunch of stuff inside of the pond, and that's how it is today. There's still some life in there. We don't know too much about it. There's definitely some fish, but it is home to many birds. There are countless seabirds flying in and out and feeding. So fortunately, it still does. It's home to many different seabirds, from the kolea, stilts, all kinds of birds come in and out of there and feed and live inside of that area. Um, Another interesting thing is, even looking, I myself had tried to do research on a pool pond, and there's kind of a lot of conflicting facts about it. Um, and the location is one, and this goes on to another fish pond or pond that is in our property, which is called Koholalele Pond, which, if you're familiar with our park, is somewhere it's somewhere by our office in the bushes, and there's a lot of, just like a pool, there's a lot of conflicting and little known facts from where it came from, what it was used. Was it a pond? Was it a lo'i? Who built it? How old is it? Nobody really knows. So some of the theories are, my favorite one is that Menehune built it and didn't get to finish, as they're scared off by, I can't recall exactly what it was, but they didn't get to finish it, so it just was a ditch dug by Menehune. And that one's a little more. It's cool. It's fun. It's fun to hear. The more likely one is that the Judd and Morgan um, family, who used to prior to the city and the military, used to own this area. And the more likely story is that it was dug by them as an irrigation ditch. So um, Koholalele actually means leaping whale. And to segue into another important fact about Kualoa is this actually Hakipu as well was a site of importance for the whale. So whales supposedly a long time ago used to wash up specifically in this area when they would die. Um, where so the importance of whales is usually while they're very sacred animals, the humpback bone, teeth, and stuff was used as symbols of a what is it um, royalty. So if you see a lot of pictures or drawings of chiefs and royalty, they're wearing like a necklace that has a like a fish hook kind of shape, and that's actually would be carved from whale bone. It's called a paloa, and they would carve it out of the whale and use hair to bind it, which is uh, they're called the miho paloa, so literally whale tooth lei that would be worn by royalty. And so, if you're unfamiliar with the waters around this area, um, there are many deep channels that come within feet of the shore, more towards the Hakipu side of uh, of the park. So it's said to that whale whales used to, when they died, used to beach and land here, um, just adding to the significance of the sacredness of this place. So today we try to uphold some of its some of this place's sacredness by at least trying to inform. We have from our summer programs, spring and fall, we always try to share with our participants just how of a special place they're in, and we try to at least perpetuate some of the um, sacredness of this place by sharing what we know. And every day we learn something new from either research or one of the kupunas of the area will share some story that you will not find written down, but something that was shared um, with them by their families, and it's just knowledge passed down through generations. So, well, I hope this video reaches you guys well. Today we discussed a little bit more about Kualoa as a place and just how sacred it is, just to give everyone an idea of what we're working with here and how we today continue and try to share what we know about Kualoa and just tell everyone how special it is here and how happy we are to be able to experience and work here. Well, anyways, everyone, aloha. Have a great weekend. Mahalo.